going on, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Dark Reflections. I am back. I'm Burton in the Crypt, and today we're talking about, I know I'm a little late on this one, but we're talking about one of my most anticipated albums of the year, one of my all-time favorite artists of all time. We are talking the new Ozzy Osbourne album, Ordinary Man, released on Epic Records, February 21st, 2020. Look at that. Fucking awesome. Fucking awesome artwork there. I really like the cover of this one quite a bit. I don't think I need to give anyone a bio on the Prince of Darkness, but anyway, in terms of this album in particular, this is Ozzy's first album in almost a decade. It's a follow-up to 2010's Scream and his 12th solo album overall. The album arrives during a rough time in the Prince of Darkness's life, having to cancel tours to have hand surgeries, his Parkinson's diagnosis becoming public, and more health concerns. However, fresh off the heels of a hit track with Post Malone, and through that track having met producer and guitarist Andrew Watt, they came together over a very short period of time, in like less than a month, and created a supergroup consisting of Andrew Watt on guitar, Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses on bass, Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers on drums, and of course Ozzy fucking Osbourne himself at the helm. And they created an album that to me proves heavy metal will never die, and that the Prince of Darkness himself is far from done. And you know what? I'm just gonna jump straight into the tracks, honestly, because this is a good one. Straight to Hell, featuring Slash from Guns N' Roses, is the second single off the album, and it kicks off with a very upbeat chorus-like riff and Ozzy's signature "All Right Now," and has a wild, insane-ass solo that only the likes of Slash can provide. I feel like this is Ozzy being the bad guy. While listening to a new Ozzy record in the year 2020, when you take into consideration the entirety of his career, you have to contextualize what's going on here. After all the years, all the fucking controversy, this is him essentially spitting in the face of the PMRC, talking directly to his fans and essentially saying, if you listen to me, we're going straight to hell tonight. I feel like that really comes through in lines like, I'll make you steal and kill, or you'll kill yourself and I will watch you bleed. Maybe it's just me, but that's what I get, and that's what I get from it very much, and I fucking love it. I love that this was a single, and that, it really feels like Ozzy just kind of saying fuck you to all the things that anyone has ever kind of said about him. The next track, All My Life, is a very light Beatles-like opening, and honestly, outside of the chorus, has a very Beatles feel to it throughout. It's a track where Ozzy evaluates his life through the eyes of his childhood self and isn't exactly happy with what he sees. Really good Ozzy-style riffing and soloing, especially the face melter finger bleeder at the end. Overall guitar work on this track is outstanding, and the melancholy sound of the verses is topped off by Duff's bass playing. The track Goodbye starts off with a straight ode to the intro of Iron Man. Now we're getting into some good shit. You kind of hear some background talking or counting down, giving you that, like, I'm in the studio feel. Then straight Iron Man drum beating, and it leads into Ozzy saying, do you have any memories, but with the same effect on his voice as the intro from Iron Man, which blew my mind. The Iron Man drums follow through the first few verses. This is another track about reflecting, looking back, and seeing darkness. A lyrical theme, to me, is really starting to emerge on this album. The chorus moves into a slow, almost doomy vibe with some fantastic soloing, then back to the Iron Man style rhythm verses. Then, after the solo in the second verse, the song kicks up into this fast-paced, bluesy, rhythmic, doomy section, very reminiscent to me of old Sabbath. Leading into a gut-bellowing solo. The tones then tones back to the Iron Man rhythm. This entire song feels like it's looking, I said earlier, it's looking into the past lyrically, but it also feels like it's looking into the past musically. It's almost like it's looking back directly at Sabbath. It feels like an ode to that style of music more than anything. And the track ends fading out with Ozzy going, he's like, is it tea time yet? Do they serve tea in heaven? And then you hear a bunch of people like laughing and clapping, again putting you back in that studio feel like in the beginning of the track. Also, the line "I made Mama cry" to me is a clear callback to "Mama, I'm Coming Home," which is one of my favorites. The idea that he's now doing callbacks to all the things musically he's done that we know and love makes me very excited. They're like little Easter eggs for me, and I really enjoyed that track, especially for that reason. Next track, third single off the album, "Ordinary Man," featuring both Slash and Elton John. Okay, so first off, we're talking about a track with Andrew Watt, Duff McKagan, Slash, Elton John, and Ozzy fucking Osbourne. I mean, talk about a supergroup. This is one for the history books. This is on another level. The track starts with Ozzy saying, "I was unprepared for fame, then everybody knew my name." A gutting knife through the heart of a line. And setting up a very deep, introspective track all in all. However, musically, it's the Beatles meets Guns N' Roses to me, specifically November Rain. The piano, the solos, the builds, the well up at the end, it's all very November Rain to me. This could be my favorite track on the album. It's insane to me that this collaboration even happened and resulted in such a beautiful song featuring two of the biggest voices, fingers, hands of a generation. And in response, I say to you, Ozzy Osbourne, you will never die an ordinary man. You are extraordinary. You are a god to many of us. And you are and forever will be the Prince of Darkness. The first single off the album was called Under the Graveyard. First of all, the video for this track is like a mini movie. It's outstanding. If you haven't seen it yet, watch it immediately. This track is basically about Ozzy looking back at his health issues, being going all the way back to when he was at his lowest, trying to kill himself on drugs and alcohol, up to, presumably, his more recent health scares. The track opens with a very slow, somber, Ozzy-like guitar riff, to me reminiscent of, and like a slowed-down version of Mama, I'm Coming Home, which continues through the verses. But the chorus is more groovy and upbeat than one might expect considering the darker nature of the lyrics. Having said that, it's catchy and awesome, and after the second chorus, the track changes up into something faster and bluesier, leading into a really good solo. Yeah, all in all, fucking outstanding track with a really great video. The track Eat Me kicks off with some badass blues harmonica played by Ozzy himself, then breaks away into a mean-ass bass line courtesy of Duff. Then busts into a hard rock headbanger. Apparently at one point, Ozzy recently told Kerrang that at one point a German bloke took out an ad to come and literally eat Ozzy Osbourne once. So that's what this track is about. And as crazy as that sounds, that crazy story has left us with an absolute headbanger of a track, a chanting chorus, one to be cranked to 11 while driving with the windows down for sure, and I can't express enough how much Duff McKagan shines on that track to me. Today's The End opens with an eerie, like foggy guitar intro right into Ozzy vocals. The solo on this track is excellent. However, if there's a filler track on the album, to me, this might be it. While the verses are good and the chorus is really, really catchy, it almost feels like Ozzy doing like a pop punk style to me. I don't know, call me crazy, but and don't get me wrong, it works. It actually works. And it's good, but for me, it lacks a little substance that the rest of the tracks have had so far. But again, it's catchy and hooky as fuck, which makes me like it a lot. And again, the solo is one of the best on the album, so it's not a skippable one at all. Scary Little Green Men, another one of my favorites. This track features also guests Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. According to Ozzy in a recent interview, the song it's about fucking aliens, is what he said, and featured an awesome little video featuring Jason Momoa online. Check it out if you haven't. By far one of my favorite tracks in the album. Groovy, catchy, heavy, top-notch Ozzy. 100% sing-along song. The drums and bass on this track are awesome, and it's purposefully hooky as hell, and it really works. Starts very ethereal-like feels like you're moving through crystals almost through the entire intro until this big drum break leading into this rhythmic, groovy, heavy vibe into throughout the chorus. During the verses, it goes back to that Ozzy-esque dreamy feel. Then after the second chorus, the track goes into this weird spacey plane to me, all right? It's like a more spacey see an expanded part of the Guns N' Roses song Welcome to the Jungle right after the solo, but right before Axl says, do you know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. It goes into like this weird, rhythmically funky drum section with this like dive bombing, eagle soaring, like doo doo kind of sounding guitar with a downward spiral sounding bass. But on the Ozzy track, again, it's a lot more expanded. It's a lot more spacey, and we have these repeating background words coming in of "We Come In Peace," and the drums and guitar and bass work more in an upward fashion as opposed to a downward feel like on "Welcome to the Jungle." So it feels much different and Ozzy-fied, but still reminded me of that section of Welcome to the Jungle. And being someone who would list Ozzy and Guns as some of by far my biggest influences overall, it's a dream come true to hear these musicians and types of music coming together to make something so fucking horns in the air worthy awesome. Absolutely awesome. Holy for Tonight brings everything back down to a more melancholy mood for the first, like that of the first 5 songs-ish on the album. Lyrically, think Hallowed Be Thy Name done by Ozzy. Musically, it does again feel fairly Beatles or even Queen-esque to me at parts, with the vocal chorus and the somber lyrics, but with a face melter of a solo. Right off the first chorus, Ozzy says the lyrics, "What will I think of when I speak my final words?" Then lines like, "I'm running out of time forever. What will I think of when I take my final breath?" This does very much feel like the Iron Man dealing with his own mortality. A lot on this album. And then the final track, It's a Raid, featuring Post Malone and Tom Morello, the 4th and final single from the album. Straight punk rock Motorhead feel, apparently inspired by a time Ozzy was recording Black Sabbath Volume 4 and the police showed up. The song is very, very punk rock, very Motorhead to me. But hearing Ozzy do that style is fucking awesome. Headbang nonstop. You'll break your neck on this one. This track does feature Post Malone, and besides the auto-tune, I thought he actually sounded pretty good. A track I would love to see live. I think it would really get the crowd rowdy, and especially if Ozzy did the post sections. You know, this is, I feel like this is a bit of a historical album, featuring guest spots from the likes of Post Malone, Elton John, Slash, Duff McKagan, Chad Smith, Tom Morello, and even his own daughter, Kelly Osbourne. Ozzy pulled out every single stop for this one. Now, due to the nature of many of the lyrics on this album, it does feel like a last album and a goodbye in a sense, but Ozzy assures us that that is not the case at all in some post-album interviews. Many hardcore Ozzy fans like myself would have loved to see the likes of Zakk Wylde on this album. However, according to some early interviews and reports, the idea for the album and the album itself all came together so fast in less than a month. Wait, where did I... God damn it. It all came together in less than a month, sorry. And they literally didn't have time to reach out and get Zakk on it, which is actually, it's absolutely mind-boggling that they were able to think of all this and record all of this in that amount of time. But according to Ozzy, that's why Zack's not on it, because they literally didn't have the time. But again, Ozzy himself assures us that this album is not his last or a final goodbye. In fact, he said himself he's going to start working on the follow-up for this album in the month of March. With how many incredible collaborations that were on this one, if they follow down the same path, the idea of another album like this, but even bigger, with more collaborations and Zakk Wylde, gives me wild goosebumps. And for me, personally, as a fan, the idea of even the possibility of an Ozzy Osbourne song featuring Axl Rose makes my ears bleed just thinking about how loud I would blast that fucking shit. All in all, this was one of my most anticipated albums of the year by far, and the Prince of Darkness has conjured pure magic once again, 12 albums in, and delivers yet another masterpiece. So that's it. That's what I know. I took us track by track for this one, and normally I don't do that, but really I just wanted everything I had written down out about this one. I didn't want to cut anything out or leave anything back or anything like that, because it just really was kind of like that special to me of an album. I thought it deserved everything I had. So, man, and all right, well, that's about it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you enjoyed the new Ozzy album, Ordinary Man, just as much as I did. We will be back again sometime very soon with tons of new stuff, as always. Thank you so much for watching. Raise your horns, bang your goddamn heads. I love you all to death. Good night!